Now, our next step is to implement the list view that will show all products. So we will be able to edit the product, add a new product, or delete existing products. So let's go back to our codes and create the view now. Now, the view has a name index. So you're going to call it index.cshtml. Where do we create that? Well, we create that in the views folder. Now, we have to match and create a new folder called admin. So we have to right click, add new folder, and we're going to call this admin. And inside admin, we're going to create the new view. So we're going to go to web, razor view, and the name of this view will be index, because this is a default view for the controller. So I'm going to add that. Now let's just delete everything there. Let's start with the model. Which model are we going to bind here with this view? Well, we are sending the list of products. So we're going to be binding this to an enumerable of products. So I'm going to say enumerable of products. Great, this is a model. Now, to follow the other admin interface that we have created so far, we have created for orders, we have created the list of orders. We have used an admin layout. So we're going to be using something very similar to this. We're going to be using the layout, admin layout, and we're going to change, of course, the title of the view bag, which will not be order, but it will be all products. So I'm just going to copy this one here, and I'm going to use this as a reference point. View bag title will not be order, it will be all products, which will show the list of products. Now, layout will be underscore admin layout. That's fine. So the goal is to show the list of products. To show a list of something, usually we can use a table. So let's use a table control, table tag, and we're going to create the first line. We'll be showing the header of our table. So th, not going to set up classes yet. We can do that a little bit later, but the first one will be the ID of the product. Then we have the name of the product. And the third one will be the price of the product. And the last one will be the actions that we can perform in the product, like edit and delete. So this is the header. This is the header of our table. Now we're going to go through a loop that will display all our products. Remember, we are showing here all products, not just one product. So we're going to go and use a for each loop that we're going to call a variable item, generic here, item in what? In the model. So capital M, model. Model has the list of products. So we can use var item, or we could use product item as well. Either one would work just fine. So let's create the body of our each. Actually, there is a mistake here. We have an extra C and E for each. Great. So for each item in model, for each product in model, we're going to do something here. We're going to first start by creating the line, and then creating each column. So we're going to go, this one will be the product ID. So at item, product ID. Then we have the next one. We're going to have the name. So at item dot name. And then we have price. Price, we're going to format price to make sure it comes with the $sign. So at item dot price. And then we can use toString to format it properly. So let's format with price, the price format. Then we have the last column will be the actions. So we have a TD here for the actions. And we have two actions here. We have the delete action and the edit action. Now the delete will make a change to the table, the product table, because it will delete the product. So whenever we are doing an action that will require a change in the database, a change in data, we usually use a form tag to post the data back to the server and make the modification. So we're going to be using a form tag here. So I'm going to start with a form. I'm just going to close this and format it properly. Let's add some additional properties here to the form. Let's add the ASP action. The ASP action, this is the action that we're going to be triggering back in the controller. We're going to call this the delete action. And the method for the form is a post. So we're going to be posting the data back to the server. Now, inside the form tag, we have to store the product ID because the ID goes back to the server and we are indicating that we want to delete the product with that ID. So we're going to create here an input that is a hidden one because we don't want to show the ID. We are already showing the product ID right here, but here we need to store it to send it back to be deleted. So we're going to create an input of the type hidden. It's a hidden field. And the name will be product ID. So product ID. And the value of the product ID of this hidden control, this hidden field input, it will be the item dot product ID. So the same thing that we used here, we use here for the hidden fields. And again, this will indicate which product needs to be deleted. Now we have to create the button, the delete button. So we're gonna have to add a button here. The type of the button will be a submit. And I'm gonna leave it at that for now. And we're gonna have it showing the delete text in the button. If you have a look at the crude example that we have, it has two actions. It has edit and delete. We have taken care of showing the delete option there, but we didn't do anything about edit yet. Let's do that. So for the edit, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the same space here, the same form. We're gonna add the edit link in the same place here. However, keep one thing in mind. For editing, we don't need the form. We're gonna just be placing it here just as a convenience, but we don't necessarily need to have it right here inside the form because the edit will only be pointing to a URL that will load the product information and will allow the user to make changes to it. So again, just for convenience, we're gonna be adding here, but edits does not require the form tag. The form tag is required because we are changing the data here when we use the delete button. So we're gonna use here a link. So the edit will be a link, and we're gonna be using the tag helpers available for us. ASP, we're gonna use the action first. So the action that when we click the edit button will happen will be the edit action. Now we're gonna use another tag helper called ASP route, and then we're gonna call this, we're gonna put another dash there, and we're gonna call it product ID. And this will be equals to what? To the product ID of the product that should be edited. So I'm just gonna close this, and I'm gonna explain a little bit more in a second. And this will have the edit text on it. Now, let's have a look again at this part here. So we have this tag helper, which accepts this field name at the end of it. So it's called ASP-routes- whatever you want to put it here. And whatever you put it here will come inside the URL when this link gets built. In this case, because we call it product ID, in the URL, you're gonna see something like product ID equals to this ID. Once I run this, it will become a little bit more clear, and I'll show you that in a second. The last control that we need to put together is the ads, because again, let's have a look at our CRUD here. In our CRUD, when we are in our list screen and we are in our list view right now, we need to have an add new products at the bottom of our list so we can add a new product. So to do that, we have to go to the very end of our view, and we're going to be using a div here. Inside of this div, we're going to be having a link that will point to a particular action called create action. And we're going to close this and call this add. The text that will show, it will be showing add product. That's it. Now, before I run this, I want to make this look prettier. So I'm gonna be using a lot of Bootstrap classes for the table, for the columns. So I'm just gonna be adding CSS classes here. I'm not gonna go in details about each class that we are using, each CSS class, but here is how this table will look good, will look pretty. So we're gonna be using this bunch of CSS classes from Bootstrap. For our columns, we're gonna be aligning the fields. So we're gonna align the ID to the right, we're gonna align the price to the right as well, and then we're gonna align again the product ID to the right, the price to the right, and then we're gonna align the action to the center. So let's go here in the action to the center, and actions here, this other column to the center as well. All the actions will be aligned to the center and the rest to the right. And by default, it aligns to the left. So we don't need to do that for the name because it will be automatically aligned to the left. The last one, the other one that we need to format is the edit. We need to make a small change here and add a class to the edit. And this will make it look better. And then we're gonna do something similar, adding a few other classes to the button too. So this will format the button nicely. It will show, it has a class called danger. So you're gonna be deleting the record. So you need to be aware that there is some danger there. Anyway, let's scroll down, and the last thing that you're going to be formatting, the last two things actually, is this div, which you're going to be aligning to the center of the screen. So you're going to be using this class, and then the button, the add product button, we're going to do some formatting with it. So again, we're going to be using these classes. Now we should be able to run this and see how it looks like. Let's see. Now, how can I see the list of products to be edited? Well, I have to type in the URL because there's no link to go there. Now, what is the URL? Well, we are dealing with the admin controller, so it has to have admin/index. So I'm going here, I'm gonna type in admin/index, and I should be able to see the list of products. Here they are. Now, you see, in edit, look at the URL. Look at the URL at the bottom. I'm gonna click. Of course, there's no view yet created, but you see product ID equals to 1. This is what this particular line is doing for us. You see, we have in the edit, we have the route, product ASP route, product ID equals to the ID here. By doing this, the name product ID will be added to the URL equals to the ID of the current product. So that's what you see here, product ID. If I have said product name, it would show product name here. But again, I added product ID, and this is the ID of the product. So you see the URL gets built properly. If I move the mouse over the other ones, you see, look at the button here. I'm gonna see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes on like that. You see, that's the product ID. And this has been created because we are using the tag helper called ASP routes, and then using the fields that I want to show in the URL as the parameter here. So, but again, we have not implemented any of that. You see, we have not implemented edits nor delete, nor add product. We have the interface, but we don't have any implementation yet. And that's what we're going to be doing next. We're going to be editing the products.